Now Tarkov in itself is already a pretty complex game, but understanding penetration and armor gives you a huge advantage. But this topic can be very complex, especially for beginners. I mean, look at all the different gear that is available, and on top of that we also have tons of different rounds. So what should you wear? Naked, light armor, heavy armor, or just go for the style points?
Easy.
Now the first and most important stat is the armor durability, and basically the hit points of an armor. And this tells you in what condition the armor is, because with every bullet that gets shot at the armor, it reduces the durability. I mean, makes sense, right? And depending on the caliber, the armor loses less or, well, more hit points. Important to know here is that the lower the durability of your armor, the higher the chance that a bullet flies through. And an armor with a durability of 0 offers 0 protection. Also very important, when you repair an armor, the maximum hit points get reduced. But be careful, the game takes the maximum durability to calculate the penetration chance. So when your trooper, for example, says 60 of 60, the armor is 25% worse than a full trooper. Even though it says 60 of 60, it's not. Then next topic, we have the protection area. Because different armors protect different parts of your body. A trooper, for example, protects your thorax and your thorax only. Meanwhile, a Gen 4, for example, protects thorax, stomach, and your arms. And this might lead you to believe that, well, a Gen 4 is therefore better, right? I mean, it protects more. But it's exactly the opposite, because you gotta remember that every bullet that hits the armor lowers its durability, and it doesn't matter where the armor gets hit. Again, let's look at it through an example. So somebody's spraying you and he hits you 3 times in the arm. This lowers the durability of your armor, making the next bullet very likely to go through. And now the 4th bullet hits your thorax and, well, it goes through. And depending on the caliber, you might die from that shot. But now let's say you wore an armor that only protects your thorax. The first 3 bullets would have completely destroyed your arm, right? But the 4th bullet would have been stopped by your armor because it's still at full durability. Assuming the penetration of the bullet matches the armor, but more to that later. So sometimes less is more. Now let's talk about the armor class. In the game there are 6 armor classes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what does class mean? Basically, take the number, multiply it by 10, and then you have the penetration resistance level. Then every bullet in the wiki has a penetration value. If this value is higher than the armor that you're wearing, it goes through. And the closer it is, the more likely that the bullet will fly through. The further apart, the more unlikely it is that it penetrates the armor. So for example, let's take BT with a penetration value of 37 and the trooper, class 4, so 40 penetration resistance. So we hop on the wiki, link in the description, we look up BT, that's only 3 points away, so probably will penetrate. And you also see this number in the wiki, it's a 5, 6 is flies right through and 5 is just 1-2 bullet and the armor is gone. So that's how you can look up ammunition and compare them to certain armored classes. Now don't worry, it's completely normal if all of that information is a bit much for you right now. Just take your time and you can always rewatch the video later. So the next topic is material, because, well, it's not complex enough. Now armors are made out of different material. For example, aramid, then ultra lightweight, poly something, steel, and so on. There are many materials in the game. And the armor influences the protection value that the armor offers. So it influences the durability basically. For example, a trooper, it says it has 80 durability, but because of the material, it has 188. Yeah, bit confusing. It also influences how well you can repair an armor once it has been damaged. For example, ceramic is just horrible to repair, and I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm also gonna link an Excel file where you can look up the real armor durability, so it gets calculated based on the material of which the armor is made of. Yeah, it's pretty complex, but once you understand and get to know certain armors, you will get used to it faster than you might expect. But what does it mean if an armor class 4 has better durability than another? If you get hit by a bullet that has a higher penetration than the penetration resistance of your armor, it doesn't really matter, it goes through. But it loses less points. So let's say you survive the fight and later on you encounter some scavs, then the armor might still protect you from those guys, whereas if you wore a worse armor, it would have been damaged significantly more. And if you get hit by shots that don't reach the penetration threshold, it takes way more bullets to go through, of course. Then we have movement, and that's a really spicy topic. The gear you're wearing influences how fast you're sprinting. I mean, that shit's heavy. It also influences your ADS time, because, well, again, it's heavy. But the horrific part is that it influences your in-game sensitivity, which I don't like at all, but that's not the topic of this video. Just note that certain gear, especially heavy gear, slows down your mouse by a lot. So if you want to turn as a heavy chat, you need to move your mouse way more than if you were naked or wearing light gear. But this influences your hip fire sensitivity. So as soon as you're aiming down sight, it uses your real in-game sensitivity that you used in the settings. Now the easiest way is just to play the same gear always and adjust your sensitivity accordingly. By the way, let me know in the comment section what you think of this feature. I personally think that the player sensitivity is something sacred that should not be messed with, but that's just my opinion. And obviously, the heavier you are, the more noise you make when you run around. So that are all the basics around armor. Now, what happens when I fire a round at a specific armor? Now, there are 3 things that can happen now. First one, pretty simple, the bullet doesn't go through, so it gets stopped. But you still get damaged as a PMC. Why? Have you ever tried to stop a baseball with your head? It might hurt a bit, and same goes for a bullet that flies with 900 meters per second and gets stopped by your armor on your thorax. That breaks some ribs. But if the round has a penetration value above the threshold of the armor, it goes through and damages your PMC behind. The armor can still slow down the bullet a bit, so even if it penetrates, the armor can save your life. Now, the exact chance that the bullet goes through, nobody can tell you by heart. There are tons of Excel files and calculators and whatnot on the internet. I'm gonna link one in the description, where you can enter a certain round, a certain armor, and then let it calculate how many rounds does it take to go through the certain armor. There's also an app, link also in the description. So if you prefer an app to, I don't know, check while you're loading into raid, there you can just as well look up the round and how much you have to fear for your life. So that's about armor. Everything clear? Perfect. Now with helmets, there's a third option, and that's the ricochet chance. So basically that the bullet gets reflected. And depending on the helmet you wear, the chance for that happening is higher or lower. Except for the pumpkin, because, well, it's a pumpkin. And now you might understand why the Alton helm is so favorable. Not only is it armor class 5, but it also has a high ricochet chance. Now the ricochet chance also depends a bit on the round that you're using, but that gets too complex. What you should take away from that is sometimes a helmet with a lower armor class can be better just because of a higher ricochet chance. Because for example, a level 3 helmet is only going to protect you from scav because any rounds that players are using will fly through a level 3 helmet. So, still all clear? Perfect. Congratulations, you just earned your armor certificate. Now, there are some more things to talk about here, but the video would get too long and those are very niche topics. Armors are also gonna change. BSG plans on implementing different armor areas with different types of protection. But for now, this is basically all you need to know. So I hope this was helpful. If so, don't forget to thumbs up. If you have questions, post them in the comment section below or join our Discord. There are a lot of helpful people on there. Then subscribe for more and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.